Distortions. Scare Factory. Ooh. Where are you all? You're all there, I see you. Transworld. Hey guys, it's me, Halloween Dan, and if you hadn't guessed by that, it is time to talk about Transworld 2024. Let's do this. So, Transworld 2024 is amazing. It was amazing. It ended a few days ago now, and there's been so much footage coming left, right, and centre of all these lucky people who got to experience it firsthand. Because there's just nothing like that in the UK, on any level, really, where you could go and see all these amazing things up and running and get to see them firsthand. It just doesn't really happen. So to see it like that is mind-blowing to a person like me. So I've dredged through all the different footage. I'm going to be borrowing a few people's footage, so I will leave the links to the people's footage that I've used in the description and try and remember to mention them before I go too far into this. But yeah, we are going to be looking at people's footage who actually got to go and talking about some of my favourite things that I saw. Most of them are things I've seen already. Most of them were things I've even talked about already. But there is a bit of a difference between either seeing very grainy footage or just some kind of factory demo prop and then seeing it up and running in an environment like that with people nearby so you can kind of scale it differently. So yeah, that really does help getting to see all this sort of stuff. I think if I ever got to go to Transworld, my instinct, the sort of childlike excitement in me would want to go, right, let's go straight to Distortions and then let's go to the Dark Zone. And I'd probably miss a whole bunch of other stuff and then want to work backwards. The sensible thing to do, I think, which is what a lot of people did, was sort of work their way through getting to each stand as they get there. And that way you get to appreciate all the awesomeness. And there's just so much awesomeness. There's too much to mention. There's too many great firms doing too many great things. So many firms making awesome props and masks. The masks, some of them were absolutely unbelievable. But for me, it's always about the props, and there's always certain firms that stand out more to me than others. So we're going to start with the big one for me, and that is Distortions Unlimited. Still probably my favourite prop manufacturer ever. I think the stuff that they create is just so unique and amazing and well thought through and well executed. And there were all the things we'd already seen. With the Mutant was there, Frankenstein was there, the new Frankenstein's monster prop. There was all the static props that we've seen brought out in the earlier part of this year, as well as some returning from past years. But amongst them were some newbies, and one in particular kind of stood out for me, head and shoulders above the rest, literally. And that is the Banshee. Now, the Banshee was only kind of released a day or two before Transworld came out, or at least I think that's true. And then it was there for real at Transworld. And this thing is sick. I mean, she is, at first, you see what just looks like a kind of a blue-hued woman. She's just a woman with her head tucked down and got this creepy look on her face. You're not quite sure exactly what she is or what she's supposed to be or what she's going to do. And then all of a sudden the smoke starts to pump. She rises up into the air. And I think the most surprising feature of all for anyone who hadn't seen any footage of her before Transworld is that then her mouth literally splits open, revealing this massive mouth, this huge jawline, rows of sharp teeth. And then she starts to scream and spit. It's kind of water and fog and stuff at you, which is cool. So really cool. I loved it when the 12-foot Reaper from last year did that. and it does this sort of spitting effect. I know that the mutant kind of does that too, but there was just something about the way this Banshee did it that was so deliberate. Like, it was deliberately spraying water and grossness at you, and then it kind of starts to go back down, and you think it's done its thing, and then it opens its mouth a second time, spits a bit more at you, and that's it, finally done. Such an awesome prop, and it looks so realistic as well. Although it's obviously a blue Banshee woman and it's kind of creepy and weird, for a split second, it does, the realism on this is amazing. You could be an actor or scare actor or something. It really is amazing. Only once it actually starts rising up into the air do you realise, yeah, this is a prop, but an awesome one. There was also the alien that jumps out of the tube again. I love that prop. That was only revealed last year. I think that's such a clever prop, and when it's done properly, that glass coming down while there's smoke everywhere, you don't realise the glass has come down and then that thing springs out. Still such a great scare prop. But next door to that was another prop, a brand new prop, which is, I'm not fully got my head around exactly what it does, but it's so awesome. And that was Dr. Quantum. So you've got this giant brain held up above this weird little alien dude in a chair. Looks like something from Men in Black. And he's sort of got this dark kind of computeristic voice. And from what I gather, you enter in whatever you want to enter in, and it's AI generated. So AI generates something to say to you. It could be something to do with you and your name. It could be something to do with your haunt, whatever you really want it to. But it's not going to be exactly what you put into it. It AI generates. So it's a computer kind of thinking about something clever to say through this alien. I think that's the idea. Very, very cool concept. I love this whole thing. But I'm not gonna lie, all this AI generated stuff kind of freaks me out a little bit. I think the robots might be taking over. Next, I wanted to briefly talk about something I only spoke about in my last video, which is Beastcraft. Now, Beastcraft have kind of come out of left field for me a little bit. I was aware of their work, I'd seen stuff by them before, but nothing's really hit home for me like what they've revealed this last year. And their props, their stand was awesome. It looked so good. All their props out and about. I loved, again, the Dapper Dan prop. Such a cool prop, just eerily tilting his hat there in the front of the stand. But for me, the coolest things were actually things that I'd already spoken about in the form of the Reaper prop and the Rook prop. I didn't realise they were as big as that. Maybe I misread it, I didn't realise. But these things are like 10-foot props. I thought they were like 6 foot or something. So these massive Reaper and Rook props are just on another scale. They were great props anyway before that, but seeing them, this is what I mean about things like Transworld. Until you get to see them next to people or towering above people, you can't fully get to grips with just how amazing these things are. And seeing them for the first time, particularly the Rook, I have to say, holding his giant lantern, standing head and shoulders above everything else on that stand, was actually quite phenomenal. But they've got so many other cool things on that stand too. We've got like that ghost guy that's kind of hovering there with the scream look on his face. You could see the Decomposer sat on his plinth. I'm assuming that plinth comes with him. I'm not sure. Maybe they just put him up there. Either way, it doesn't really matter. Such a cool thing in itself, playing his little classical violin. There's so much detail in these props. I absolutely love them. And there's something just eerie and creepy about them. They're not too in your face. They're not too ridiculously gory. They are just creepy and weird. And I'm here for it. Then there was the Dark Zone area, which I think is amazing. The Dark Zone area is so cool because I think it gives you that hint of what your props will actually look like. And I think there is a dominating force in the Dark Zone at Transworld, and that is poison props. Now, this is something I've never really spoken about, poison props. I appreciate what poison props bring out. I like their stuff. But, here's the but. For me, it's a bit too gory. Not so much into the gore. And they also have a lot of clown-related stuff. Also, all their props, from my perspective, this is just mine, are kind of doing the same thing. They're all... Some of them are leaping forward, some of them are moving about really, you know, erratically. And they're all just kind of screaming and shouting and doing all that kind of stuff. And for me, that's not really that good. I'm not that interested in that. I don't want just props that are screaming and shouting and making a load of noise. I know that some people love that. It's not my vibe though. So most of what Poison produce is not really for me, but they did make one thing that I found pretty cool. I don't know its official name, but it was a vampire prop. It was like a vampire, an old school vampire, really creepy, ancient looking vampire that rose up into the air, flailed its arms about. Really creepy, really ominous. I love a vampire. I love classic monsters. So this did actually kind of, I'm going to say, hit the stake in the heart kind of thing. I was like, that's kind of cool. I really like that. But everything else that Poison make, I'm on the fence. I appreciate it mechanically, but it's not something I would be bothering to invest money in. But the other kind of dominant force in the Dark Zone is something I definitely would invest money in if I had the money. And that is Scare Factory. Now, their stand in the Dark Zone at Transworld was on another level. I was blown away by it. There's just something about the props they make. I'd seen their stuff before and been blown away by it before, but there was something about this year that was just next level. You've got that giant pumpkin mantis thing that raises 15 foot into the air. Extraordinary thing, but actually not my favorite of what they make. They've got some 20-foot props. You've got these giant kind of ghost phantom guys. So creepy. I loved their witch. I know that's been around before, but I love that witch that kind of flies erratically around, laughing and cackling. Such a cool prop. Absolute showstopper that would be if I could get that in my horn. I loved their zombie heads. There was a few different props that had zombie heads. There was the one that kind of popped out the window that we talked about last week. There was this kind of archway of zombie heads that were all kind of moving individually. So cool. I loved their pumpkin props. There was a lot of things. I loved even just the simple arms that had a pumpkin or a skull hanging from them. Such a cool concept. Simple, but so cool. I also loved the pumpkin witches that I talked about last week. Seeing them in real life, stood there, animated, and all cackling around their cauldron. One of them even looked like it was holding like a poison apple. I think it was actually a pumpkin, but it had that poison apple vibe. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. But for me, weirdly, the prop that stood out head and shoulders above the rest, literally, was the 20-foot hover flyer. I mean, 20 foot, guys. 20 foot. That's astounding, right? That is unbelievable. I know there were other props there that were 20 foot, but still, what makes this more astounding is the movement it has. So it's kind of hung from a crane type apparatus. It's moving quite a lot for a prop of its size. It's got a lot of movement, swaying backwards and forwards. Its mouth is moving, it's speaking, it's saying creepy lines. It's clearly meant to be some sort of a Reaper type phantom prop. So that immediately says awesome prop to me, just alone. It's got these huge headlamp type eyes that are glowing, fiery and bright, almost blindingly bright. And it's just such an awesome, well-constructed, well-detailed prop. It isn't just, we've made a 20-foot prop, here it is, and that's it. It is a moving, working, speaking, detailed 20-foot prop that absolutely, when I saw it moving, I was like, that's the one. That's what I'd buy if I had a spare £20,000, or probably more, I don't even know. That's what I buy. There it is. That's what I want. I think I'd actually, it's so cool, I would actually get rid of everything else I've got to have it. That's how cool it is. It would, I don't know why, what it is about it that speaks to me on that level. I just love it. I think it's awesome. Just other level awesome. You can disagree with me on that if you found something else that you preferred, but that's just what I thought. Anyway, guys, I could sit here and talk about Transworld for hours, and there is so much more to speak about because it's such a massive thing. But I can't do that. I haven't got the time, and I ramble on and on and on, never really getting anywhere. I hope you've enjoyed watching this. If you've got to go to Transworld, lucky you. Keep your eyes peeled in the weeks to come because we will be dropping a podcast in the next few days. I'm involved in a podcast. If you didn't see my live the other day, I'm involved in a podcast with Scare Dad. Go and check out his channel. It should be real fun. Two middle-aged men talk about Halloween. That's literally the podcast as well. And we will at some point be uploading a new podcast talking about Transworld. So keep your eyes peeled for that too. I hope you enjoy it. Anyway, guys, for today, that's all I've got to say. So see you in the next one. Keep it spooky. Bye.